everybody. We're the Good Doctors of Abbey Research. It's time for today's Good Doctors Diagnose. It is Wednesday, October 7th. And one of the key issues we talk about a lot here at Abbey Research is the concept of unpaid labor, which is just all the work that goes into living your life that you do not get paid for. And what we talk about a lot at Abbey Research is that is disproportionately felt by women around the world. Upwards 75% of women, women do 75% of the unpaid labor: cooking, cleaning, shopping, caring, etc. So we have a COVID edition for you guys, which, as from that intro, I'm sure you know, it's going to be all good news. But CBS Sunday Morning recently did a piece just this past Sunday about that very thing, what it's like to be a working parent, a working mother specifically, during these COVID times, and the various ways it's having a negative impact on women's lives.
Basically, there are a lot of companies. Let me back up. So they had an expert on labor that phrased it this way that I think is really important, that the whole system we had for supporting working parents was a Rube Goldberg device.
Yes.
That was always never really working. And now COVID has destroyed it. And I think that's important. We are the only industrialized nation without a parental leave policy. We are the only industrial nation without an actual pregnancy leave policy that's federally mandated. This was always going to kind of happen. We're the only, nation without subsidized healthcare. Childcare for working parents, things like that. So it was always about to collapse. It was always a house of cards, and COVID just was a hurricane to a house of cards.
Yeah.
So there's a couple things that we would like to draw people's attention to. We're obviously going to link the piece in the show notes. If you are a boss and you have not explicitly made decisions as to how you are going to hold people accountable for their time, if they have children, think about that now. Have it written down. If at any point in time you have told one of your employees that you do not want to hear or see their child on a Zoom call, we would ask you to deeply consider what message you are sending to them about their value as an employee. Are children disruptive in Zoom calls? Absolutely. Are there times that a parent can make that choice? Absolutely not. And there are ways we can be.
Things in the video was when that mother said, she just looked at her boss and said, "What do you want me to do? Lock him in a room? He's 15 months old." And her boss's response was, "Figure it out. You'll figure it out." Yeah.
It's really I understand as a boss, if any of our employees came to me right now and said, "I need to work from home," my response would be, we're going to have to work out a different kind of employment, because we can't have people work from home by the nature of our business. And I can't have them bring their kids to work because of insurance. So I completely get from a boss's perspective that this is terrible. But as a boss, we would all sit down and try to work that out and have those conversations and figure things out and puzzle things out. Because in the grand scheme of things, yes, the most important thing is the company and keeping the lights on and being able to provide long-term employment. But we employ human beings, and we try very hard to treat them as human beings. And it boggles my mind that other people don't do that. So often, I'm sitting there and I'm I just want to tie that boss to a chair and scream at him for 3 hours. You don't have to be this way.
No. And
she's selling insurance.
It's not what we're saying is, you should bend over backwards to accommodate everybody, no matter their circumstances. We all understand that businesses have practical operational needs, but you can still lead with empathy.
Absolutely.
And be a practical manager and boss. And so what does leading with empathy look like in that situation? They go into several other aspects of it, but the bulk of it is, COVID is impacting working mothers 3 times worse than working fathers. So they are 3 times more likely to not be working during COVID because of childcare duties. And it's what they talk about is the scary part is it's going to set women back decades in terms of their progress in the field of that they're in. And so like for me, that was the thing I really wanted to highlight. It's like, how can you lead with empathy, and how can you ensure that your working mothers in your company don't get a setback in their career for something that was completely out of their control?
Additionally, we heard that there has been a dramatic increase in women leaving the workforce over September, September over August, and that's simply because kids went back to school.
Mm-hmm.
And I am involved in terms of relationships and friendships with a lot of parents in my area, and every school district around here is handling it differently. And I'd imagine that that's not atypical for the rest of the country, because we don't have a national response or a national standard for a response. And so some schools are going back, some schools aren't back yet. And then a lot of universities are ending at Thanksgiving. So like we might have kind of stasis for about a month, and then all the college kids are going to move home at the end of November. And we're going to have confusion and upheaval again. And what is that all going to look like? So the leading with empathy is something we've been highlighting for as long as Abby Research has existed. And we will certainly not be becoming quiet on it anytime soon. But we would urge you in these times, as existing with empathy is exhausting but mandatory, to give particular attention to it from a leadership perspective. I understand that maybe you don't want written policies because you want to have the opportunity to flex them and bend them. That's fine. They can still be clearly communicated, and kind of how that all works. So remember that you never know what's going on in someone's house.
Nope.
And the only way often to find out is to ask.
That's right. And there are, these are important questions, necessary questions to ask yourself, to ask of your policies and procedures, and to ask about the people you are leading and managing. So if you haven't asked these questions or had these conversations, we strongly encourage you to do so now.
That's all from us. We'll see you guys next week for what we're sure will continue to be COVID questions.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.